I am disturbed by this, I think, as everybody is. I was taking a step back from this, Nicole. I don't understand why we're going to war with Venezuela. And I'm not sure the administration has even bothered to try to come up with anything even internally coherent in terms of explaining why Trump has proclaimed that we are at war with Venezuela. My sense is that they wanted to use the Alien Enemies Act to illegally deport people, arrest and deport people from this country that actually weren't subject to deportation. They decided the Alien Enemies Act was a way to do that. They then realized the Alien Enemies Act required a war, so then they declared a war. Then they needed a reason for the war, so then they reverse engineered some sort of reason for the war. Ostensibly right now, the reason for the war is to stop drug trafficking into the United States. Today, the man convicted of the largest volume of drug trafficking in the history of the United States was just freed from prison.
Yo, hold up. American soldiers just got killed, and instead of taking the blame, Pete Hegseth is pointing fingers at everybody else? Nah, bruh, this ain't it. Rachel Maddow just went live and said this man needs to resign immediately. And honestly, after what I'm about to show you, she's spitting straight facts. Let's get into it.
By Donald Trump, the former president of Honduras. So clearly, if that's the area of focus, that isn't the justification for this war. So what are we doing there in the first place? Why are we blowing out of the water and killing people in boats with outboard motors, some of which aren't even pointed towards the United States, let alone verified to have drugs on them, let alone even if they were coming to the United States and they had the capacity to reach the United States and they were filled with drugs? Why isn't it possible to just interdict them the way that we do with the Coast Guard, where you go and take the drugs and then put those people on trial and investigate and then follow the drugs to their source of origin and then take care of it there? Like, none of this makes any sense. It feels like they bumbled themselves into a profoundly incoherent and illegal situation in which they decided the one true benefit they were getting out of all of it is that they were getting video game style visuals to play on Fox News and put on TikTok. And they liked that. So now they have put this admiral, the commander of Southern Command, every senior officer in that command, and all of the servicemen and women who serve there in the position of potentially being held liable for murder or war crimes until the statute of limitations on those matters runs. And I don't even know what it would be. And by backing and bumbling and shambolically rambling themselves into this mess, I'm less worried about the fate of the bad guys who have gotten us here than I am about the good people who've been put in the way of this mess. And from Admiral Bradley on down. And it's a catastrophe. I think Pete Hegseth, it's impossible to imagine that he survives this as Secretary of Defense. I think he must resign, and I think Republicans will ask for that ultimately once they investigate this. But this is a disaster for this generation of people serving in the United States military. And that is a tragedy more than a farce. I mean, Trump wants to use the military for everything, right? You're also not supposed to use the military for running drunk driving checkpoints in Washington, D.C. You're not supposed to use United States Marines for protecting a federal building in Los Angeles from normal levels of protest. I mean, all of these things that he wants to use the military for. I mean, I half believe that the reason he thinks he can get rid of FEMA is because he's heard that the National Guard did some disaster response once. So can't we just use the military as emergency response? Like, can't the military take care of hurricanes? I mean, an authoritarian leader wants unified command over everybody who has a gun. He wants them all answerable to him, and he wants to be able to use them without restraint. And he wants to be able to use them against his own people, right? So once you're starting to think like Donald Trump does about what power really means to him, when he talks about how there can't be illegal orders by virtue of the fact that he gives an order, that means they have to do it, it gives you a real insight into what he thinks the military is for. And he wants to use them domestically, and he wants to use them for everything. And he doesn't see the value of any other form of governance. So once the U.S. military is seen as a tool like that of a leader like him, all eyes have to shift to the internal ethos and discipline of the U.S. military. Will you allow yourselves to be used this way? I mean, that ultimately may be the distinction between us becoming a dictatorship and us remaining a republic, is whether or not there is internal discipline and ethics in the United States military that prevent them from being used the way that Trump wants to use them. And having them carry out illegal orders is a great way. I don't know. And I don't have any inside information on this. This is me speculating. But I think there was a really important NBC News report about what was happening inside Southern Command. We saw the shock resignation of the head of Southern Command. He was not supposed to be leaving office. And he left office without Hegseth and Trump attacking him. There was sort of mild praise, thank you for your service. And he's disappearing, and nobody knows why he's leaving his post. Then we get that NBC News reporting that the senior JAG, the senior legal officer at Southern Command, has been essentially removed from the chain because of expressing concerns about the illegality of these strikes. Then we get follow-up reporting about there being a secret classified memo that was prepared in the Office of Legal Counsel at the Justice Department saying, you guys won't get prosecuted for this stuff, okay? We can't exactly articulate a reason why, but that's why. Like, clearly there is incredible friction inside the U.S. military, including at very senior ranks, among people who know that this is wrong and who are trying to stop it, who are resigning, who are being removed from their positions because they are trying to stop it. And once you've got that kind of internal friction, once you've got that kind of internal fight, you're going to have news. I'm not saying, again, I don't have any inside information about what the source of this information is. But when you're asking people to do something that wrong and they know it's wrong and they're pushing back and it's ending careers because of it, it's going to come out. It's going to come out. We're lucky that it's coming out now while it's happening and not just as a point of history. But it's going to come out. These guys can't run from this stuff.
All right, y'all. Let's keep it 100 right now. Soldiers lost their lives. That's not a Democrat thing. That's not a Republican thing. That's an American thing. And when the Secretary of Defense starts dodging blame like he's in the Matrix, nah fam, that's a problem. Now I want to hear from you. Should Hegseth resign or nah? Drop your answer in the comments. And be real, I want to see the debate pop off. If this video hit different, smash that like button. Subscribe if you're not already because we're exposing the truth that nobody else will touch. Until next time fam, stay informed, stay woke, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Peace.